Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV and Radio watchers and listeners. My name is Mariska du Preez, and we are here on Talking Heads on our USA Global TV and Radio platform. I am so happy to be with you guys today, and I have something very, very special for all our leaders, especially when we think about the time period that we are going into, being the end of the year. And if you are to watch this in future and you are not in the end of the year, it might be very helpful to also think about the approach that we are going to discuss when you are in situations where stress is high, time is at a minimum, and you have 1,000 things to do. So I don't know about you guys, but normally the end of the year do have a tendency to bring this about naturally. And during the year, when we have big projects or we're getting close to a deadline, this sort of same scenario has a tendency to crop up. And what makes then for productive leaders? Because we want to be productive in our leadership in all areas and at all times, but it doesn't always feel very possible, especially when we are stressed, when there's not a lot of time and there's 1,000 things to be done. So how do we do this? Well, first off, we need to have a bit of a look at our own energy management and what it is that we are doing that might be possibly contributing to this feeling of rushedness or a lot of things that need to happen in a very short amount of time. And how do we do that? Well, first off, having a look at exactly what it is that's going on and how it is that we want to approach it is a very good way to start. Now, this might be looking at our schedule and then feeling very dismayed because there's 3 weeks and it's so jam-packed, we can literally not squeeze in anything. What I do want you to think about, and also just me talking about it makes me feel all anxious. First and foremost, take a breath. By us taking a breath, it not only helps our physiology in getting some well-deserved oxygen to the brain, it also helps us to get present and think a little bit clearer. Now that we have taken our well-deserved breath, we can go back to said calendar and have a bit of a look at what it looks like. Is everything that we have in there required to happen in that specific time period? Now, having a little bit more focus, I know that sometimes we have organizations that go through mergers and they say something like, we want to get back to our core business. Or we might find that we go to a shop and we don't find all the little bits and pieces that we might have found there anymore because they have gone back to their core business. Now, we can use the same approach for ourselves and go back to our core business. What's the core things that we have on our calendar that has to stay there? Now, I know most of us will say, well, all of it is core. Is it really? Is my question. Because there's a lot of times that we say yes to other people's core business. That's not really our own core business. It might be that we said yes to a project. And what ended up happening is we took on some responsibility for that project. Is that really our core business? Most probably not. We also, as leaders, love to help other people because, well, that's part of what happens when we are within the leadership space. We know things, we know how to get things. And that's one of the reasons why, for most of us, we moved into a leadership space. We were not only really good at our specialization, but we also had a great network. So it results in, well, a lot of other people, in all likelihood, coming to us to get some advice, to find out where to get specific things, whatever the case might be. Now, yes, we do want to help them. And we also want to ensure that they fish for themselves and we do not do the fishing for them. So understanding what is core to us, what is it that we actually need to do within our function, and what it is that maybe we enjoy doing but shouldn't actually be doing, or have information on that we can give and possibly need to help the other person learn how to get it. So this is where all those tips and tricks come in to help us create a little bit more space during times where our calendars might be very full and we may feel a lot of stress. So what is there that we might be able to shuffle off our plate, so to speak? So first off, looking at our calendar and determining what is core, right? Making sure that the things that's on there is actually things that I'm responsible for and I need to get done. Now remember, as the leader, it is not your function to do the task. So say, for instance, we have a project and I don't know, there's 5 different things that needs to happen in said project. We have a whole team. It's not our function to actually go and do the work. It is our function to ensure that our team is set up to do the work. That's our core function, not doing the work. So understanding what our core function is makes it a little bit easier to then go into the next step. And what is the next step? Well, the next step is really going and having a bit of a look at what it is that we need to delegate, because we've literally taken stuff on that we shouldn't be doing. Or what is it that we are helping out with? So it might be that we are constantly getting 1,000 different requests to make decisions that, technically speaking, doesn't need our level of decision making. It might be made at a different level. Or it might be that we hold a whole bunch of information that would be better served if other people knew how to resource themselves to get the same information. You might have a great database stored somewhere that they can access. And of course, it's always easier asking a friend to access it and then getting us the answer than going to look for it ourselves. So, how are we enabling all of these behaviors that actually is not serving us, even though it might be that it makes us feel good? So, understanding first off what our core functions are and which are the things that we can't delegate, we can't give it to somebody else. It's something we need to do. And then having a look at what's all the other things that I need to enable the people around me to be able to do. So this might be that I need to help them to train them up so that they can actually perform their function fully. Or it might be that I can delegate it. And we have an episode on delegation and what to take into consideration when we want to delegate. Then it might also be that I am absolutely exhausted. Now, I know personally that when I have low energy levels, it takes me a lot longer to perform any task than it would normally take because my energy is low. I can literally not pour as much of myself into the task as I would when I have high energy. So understanding that longer working hours, especially at the end of projects or when we have those stressful situations, is not necessarily going to be the thing that's going to help us out. As a matter of fact, that will most likely make us less productive as leaders and as individuals. So, what do we need to take into consideration there? And I know burnout for a lot of people is a definite big problem. It's not only the crunch time during Christmas or the end of a project that gets us all riled up. It might be that this has been a more continuous thing, or it might be the way that the organization is structured that has that type of effect. So, what can we do there? Well, I want you to think about your energy management and how it is that you gain energy. Because the gaining of energy and the keeping of said energy will also ensure that you are more productive when you go and perform those core tasks. For instance, as a leader, one of our functions might be to do a end of year review with our staff, or it might be to have a couple of coaching conversations or other feedback related conversations with our staff to ensure that, well, they up their game and they perform even better next time around, as well as developing them. Now, if I'm exhausted when I have these conversations with my staff, of course, we're only going to have a look at what exactly the problem is and how to solve it. I won't be able to give space for us to have a conversation, and I won't be able for them to do the learning because I literally want to tick this thing off my list and get on to the next thing. So I need to make sure that my energy levels are in the right spot in order to help my team to grow and thrive and learn. Because if I'm always chasing, or if I'm in such a rush and so depleted that I feel that I do not have time, I won't be able to put in the valuable time that learning is going to take in order to grow my team, make them better, have them more productive, and actually create more time for all of us. So, one of the things that we typically do, especially under stress, is we try and cram more stuff in. Now, as you might have noticed, this is not very productive. One, it drains our energy. Two, we take a lot longer to typically do the things because we have low energy. And three, it makes all the things productively just drop. So, not a great way of going. Although, for some odd reason, most of us think that that's going to be an effective way of going about it. Unfortunately, I'm here to burst your bubble because it's not. So, when we want to be more productive, what can we do? Other than focusing on the core tasks that we need to get done, we also need to look at how do we need to take care of ourselves. Think about what it is that fills your cup, because the fuller the cup, the easier it is for you to do the job, the more productive you become, and, well, the faster everything will go. So we need to slow down to go fast. There's a book by that name. So how do we do this? Well, first off, we need to determine where in our day we find that we have the most energy. And this is not only thinking about it when we are depleted, but also a good day. What does a good day look like for us? What does it have in it that makes it a good day? Now, we also need to think about specific things that we can inject into our day that would help to make it a good, productive day. Now, typically, for a lot of us, some form of exercise comes up. Now, no, you do not need to be a health nut or exercising for a marathon or something big. It can be as easy as literally going for a 5-minute walk in the morning. It doesn't need to be a long exercise, and exercise technically might not be the thing that gives you energy. Do give it a shot though, because it helps with circulating the blood as well as getting some fresh oxygen to all our cells. So it does have a benefit in more than one way. So exercise might be it. And depending on where we like to put some exercise into our day, that might be in the morning, it might be the evening before. So it might be that we do things the day before that sets us up for having a great day the next day. We also might have some things that we do during our day to keep our energy levels higher. Now, I had a leader that I recall, he has this practice where I always found it very interesting, and I asked him about it the one day because I saw him sitting with his feet on the desk. And I thought, that's very peculiar because I know this leader and he's really productive. And seeing him sitting with his feet on the desk was a bit weird. So when I came by the next time when his feet wasn't on the desk, I asked him about it. And he said, you know what? It is my 5-minute nap. I said, 5-minute nap? That sounds very short for a nap. And he said, yes, it's a power nap. So what he does is he puts his feet on the desk on a very peculiar little place where if his concentration breaks, his feet will fall off and he will wake up. So he will literally just go into the nap and then wake up. And that's enough to give him energy back. It might even be that you take little breaks in between meetings. Now, I know a lot of us are not necessarily in the office the way that we used to be, which also means that we are literally jumping from one click of the button to the next click of the button into different meetings. Now, I want you to appreciate what happens if you do these meetings in person. You would literally be walking from one room to another room in maybe separate buildings, which means you can have a little bit of a body break. You might be able to get some refreshments in the form of a coffee or tea or water. You'll get some exercise, yes, because you're walking from the one to the next, and your brain gets a chance to switch from one task to a different task, or even no task, so that it just has some time to relax. Thus, learning from our in-person meetings, it's helpful to schedule those little breaks into our online space as well. So that might be that we schedule our meetings with a 5-minute break in between them. Or it might be that we also, other than the 5-minute break in between them, go and, I don't know, walk around the house, depending on how big a plot you have, or walk around the block if you do a quick little walk. So getting some oxygen into the brain, giving our brain a time to relax, are all little ways in which we can get our energy back. And this also gives us more sustained energy throughout the day in order to be, more productive with what it is that we are doing. So now that you have a few tips and tricks around how to be more productive as a leader, possibly sharing and hearing from your team what it is that they do to help them be a little bit more productive and keep their energy in a good flowing state, I would love to hear from you what works and what other ideas you might have that you utilize to keep you and your team productive during times where, well, we don't necessarily have as much time as we want, or the stress levels might be a tad higher than we typically operate under. And with that, you can also get hold of me, not only to share your ideas, but also if you are an emerging leader moving into leadership or a leader moving up in your leadership journey. And you can do this via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, you can find me on LinkedIn. Connect, send me a little message, and we can start our conversation. I look forward to hearing from you, and until next time, enjoy playing around and having some good energy breaks that would keep you productive. Bye.